This video will focus on Ryth, a mysterious entity in the Infinity Blade games. A renowned deathless blade master, he is skilled in the use of solar transweapons. He has made 2 appearances in the series, both in Infinity Blade 2 and 3, and requires an incredible degree of skill to defeat. Let's get started. Hey, IBS, isn't this supposed to be a video about Infinity Blade?
I have a higher purpose, to uphold the Great Pact, and defend this tower from any who would violate it.
I heard whispers that a nameless immortal was wandering the Vault of Tears. Whispers that his warrior showed legendary skill with the Aegis forms.
You. I thought we had settled this.
Last time we met, you bested me, a warrior of my stature, taken down by one such as you. It was...
After defeating the God King and being forced out of Dremsmaw, Cyrus made his way to Saranthia in his quest to free the Worker of Secrets. In order to do so, he had to slay dozens of Titans and 3 Blood Sentinels. The Blood Sentinels were guardians of seals that guarded the Vault of Tears, which held the Worker of Secrets. Cyrus, after defeating each, had to open a seal and die in order to do so. After being reborn from the final seal and walking to Saranthia once again, Cyrus sees a mysterious spacecraft land in the tower from afar. Following the route to the hangar where the MX Goliath was, Cyrus encounters Ryth, who is tending to his spacecraft. This scene provides several important pieces of information. The fact that Ryth arrives in a spacecraft demonstrates the advanced technology that some in the world are in possession of. Furthermore, it suggests that the Worker of Secrets did not have sole control over all this technology. The specifics of Ryth's travels are unknown, and thus far, the only extraterrestrial location revealed is the moon, also referred to as Heaven.
I'd heard whispers that a nameless immortal was wandering the Vault of Tears. Whispers that his warrior showed legendary skill with the Aegis forms.
And you've come to stop me.
I could not care less about the Pact or what you are doing here. I haven't faced a worthy opponent in centuries, and I yearn for the glory of a duel for the fates.
The fact that Ryth could not care less about the Pact, and has been confirmed to have no allegiance to the Worker, suggests that he would have little connection to Heaven. Another alternative does exist, however. For those who recall the Golden Record that can be seen in the Worker's collection in the Ark, you know that these discs were most likely taken from one of the Voyager spacecrafts. While it's unclear if these two would be absolutely the only surviving copies of these records, it definitely seems like the implication was meant to be that the Worker took it from one of the crafts. So, was Ryth perhaps contracted to do this? Seems like a possibility. Another is that Ryth was involved in the placement of the transportation disks in the sun that are required for solar transweapons to work. Confirmed to be from Earth, Ryth also seems to be a very ancient being, as a result of him being a deathless. He had waited hundreds of years to find a warrior worthy of battle. Another distinguishing feature of his character is derived from his being unconcerned with Cyrus and his feud with the Great Pact. While most deathless would likely be concerned with the proposition of the Worker being freed, Ryth evidently cares little. Described as one of the more esoteric deathless by Donald Mustard, Ryth is only concerned with the glory of a duel. Another point of interest is that in Infinity Blade 2, Ryth shares, with the exception of one detail, the same armor with the MX pilot who was seen piloting the MX Goliath. As Ryth previously mentioned, he had scoured the world for centuries in the hopes of finding a worthy opponent in the Aegis forms. This fighting style was sacred to the Deathless, and every battle was conducted in this manner. Perhaps because of his use of the legendary solar transweapons, which were very rare, or simply because of his distinguished skill, Ryth had very few enemies to fight, or that he was willing to fight, literally scouring the world for centuries to find someone. Finally, in Infinity Blade 2, he did. Owsar the Vile had made a reappearance after generations, in the form of a human called Cyrus. After killing the God King in Infinity Blade 1, Cyrus is given a message. Though meant to refer to the Deathless seeking the Infinity Blade, this line also foreshadows Deathless, who would pursue Cyrus's skill in combat. This comes true in Infinity Blade 2, when Cyrus encounters Ryth for the first time. As the duel commences, he is immediately shown to have more hit points than any other enemy. His Solar Chime's weapon is also among the most difficult weapons to play against, due to the fact that there are few ways to block it. Combined, fighting Ryth is one of the longest battles in Infinity Blade 2, and takes a significant quantity of both skill and leveling. When Cyrus kills Ryth, the story continues in the next game. Blinded by anger, furious at his defeat, and desperate to regain his honor, Ryth returns in Infinity Blade 3.
I thought we had settled this.
Last time we met, you bested me. A warrior of my stature, taken down by one such as you. It was humiliation. I've had years to hone my skills since our last battle.
Don't you see what's happening? We're fighting for the very survival of this world. Join us!
I care nothing for your petty squabbles. Nothing else matters for me except regaining my glory.
Beaten once again by the same enemy, Ryth was at his lowest point. He had no honor, let alone victories against Hausar to speak of. In a sign of utter desperation, Ryth went to Larioth, where the God King once resided. He makes battle with none other than Issa, a human turned Deathless. Despite the advantages he should have held over her, he was once again defeated, though whether or not this battle is canon is unknown. Fallen from grace, would Ryth face Cyrus or any other Deathless again? Only time will tell.